Hello, Haunted Family. Welcome back. Story 1. Do I know you? Years ago, I went to a friend's Halloween party, and right after I walked in the door, I saw this guy across the room. Immediately recognizing him, I thought, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years. A wave of excitement rushed over me. He had the same fervor. He recognized me. I made my way across the room and we began talking. Slowly, I realized that I wasn't actually sure I knew him. We both tried to figure out where we had met. And then we realized that we had never actually met before. We didn't have any friends in common. He ended up at the party, somehow randomly, through an acquaintance. I thought it was just me with this feeling, but he swore he knew me. After chatting for a bit, that feeling faded. The feeling that I knew him faded. Eventually we figured out that we didn't know each other. We had never met before. And somehow we were both mistaken. I figured that we must have been friends or lovers in another life. I'm not sure that I really believe in past lives, but the feeling was so strong, I've never felt that way with anyone else. And I honestly doubt I'll ever feel that way again. I just can't explain it. Story 2. We're still here. Dad was out with his girlfriend, about 2 hours away from home, and I had the house to myself. I was showering about 4 or so hours before I expected them to return. I heard the garage door open. It had a very distinctive sound due to the way it echoed through the kitchen and across the open floor plan of the house. The house also was mostly tiled flooring. I immediately heard the clicking of his girlfriend's boots and knew it was her. She had a very distinctive gait. They were talking as they walked through the house. A definite back and forth exchange, but I couldn't quite make out what they were saying. It was too early for them to be home. I had a feeling that something was wrong. I was already basically done with my shower, so I hopped out and threw on a towel. I opened the door and looked down the hallway and across the house for them. I absolutely pulled the horror movie rookie mistake of investigating in just a towel. I walked the length of the house. I saw the gate outside was still closed. I opened the door to the garage and saw it empty. I even did an extra loop to rule out me missing something. I was 100% home alone. This isn't the first time I've heard something when home alone. This was just the most clear. My whole family has heard the sliding glass door open, but no one has came in that time. Once, when I was out shopping with my dad, my sister was home alone. She heard the garage door open and the door into the house from the garage open, but nobody came into the house. My dad and I were not anywhere close to being home. My dad has also seen people on the property at 3 a.m., but they've been gone without a trace when he goes to investigate. They move too fast for it to be a person snooping around. The house just makes noises sometimes that mimics us. And that's really weird. But the walls don't bleed, so we still live here. Story 3. College Ghost. This experience took place over a period of about 2.5 years. I was attending college classes and living on campus. And then I decided to move into an apartment with 2 friends. After my sophomore year, strange noises started almost as soon as everyone settled into their respective rooms. My room was off the back hallway, next to a bathroom. So it was very common to hear my roommates walking by at all hours of the day and night. I even became able to tell who was walking in the hallway, just by the sound of their footfalls. After a while, I started hearing someone walk by with a very cautious, slow, deliberate stride. I knew that this was neither of my roommates, so I went out to investigate. Nobody was there. Sometimes I could even hear the footsteps in my room while I was there. They would usually only be heard at night, especially after I went to bed, but not to sleep. It was very weird, but not frightening at all. After all, nothing of a physical nature had happened. It was just some noises. Early the next school year, things changed just a little. One warm September day, my roommates and I were sitting around watching TV, hoping for a little air circulation to help cool off the place. But the air was dead calm and stifling. Even keeping the door propped open didn't help matters. All of a sudden, the door, which was propped open with a block, swung shut with a slam. There was still no wind that could have blown it closed, and the block propping it open had moved to the side as though someone had forcibly moved it. My roommates and I shared a very surprised look. I think that all of us had had some experiences with strange footsteps, but hadn't given it too much thought. We all started shouting, "Hello? How are you doing?" to our invisible guest, and tried to laugh off these experiences. Afterwards, not much more than walking sounds persisted. Maybe the spirit just wanted a little recognition and was satisfied with our greetings. The same pattern of noises persisted through the rest of the second year in the apartment and partway into the next semester, which would be my fifth and last in the apartment. Late that semester, we got a new roommate. The level of noise caused by the spirit slowly increased as the semester went on, and now things started to get pretty hairy. A few days after moving in, my new roommate asked me if I knew the apartment had a ghost. Neither my old roommate nor I had mentioned this to her, so I was pretty surprised to hear her ask, but also kind of relieved to know that I wasn't slowly losing my mind, that other people were, in fact, experiencing this. She told me that the previous night, when she went to turn off her lamp to go to bed, her stereo had turned itself on. The stereo was on the opposite side of the room from where her lamp was, so an accident of her brushing it was out of the question. Later she told me that she and her family had a history of dealing with hauntings where they lived. Perhaps the increasing activity was somehow tied to her. I'm not accusing her of anything, just exploring possibilities. Things pretty much came to a head on my last night in the apartment. I had just completed my last final exam. I was going to bed early since I had to get up very early the next morning to get ready for a long drive home for Christmas. When I climbed into bed, I was the only one in the apartment. One of my roommates was already on vacation, and my new roommate had gone for a final exam. As I lay in bed, I could hear a faint rattling, a clanking sound. As the noise grew louder, I realized that something was shaking the silverware drawers. It grew so violent that I could hear the drawers sliding out and being slammed in. I jumped out of bed and ran to the kitchen. No one was there, and nothing seemed out of place. I opened the silverware drawer, and it was chaos. I usually kept things very neat and organized, so I knew something had been going on. I hadn't been just hearing things. I went back to bed, and those noises resumed almost immediately, with renewed vigor and fury. I was downright afraid to go back out, because I didn't have the faintest idea of what might have been out there, what might have been causing this. I laid awake for about a half an hour, listening to the growing racket. And then my roommate came back from her final. All the noises stopped instantly. The relief I felt at not being alone allowed me enough peace of mind to finally rest. I finally went to sleep. My roommate said that when I was gone, she planned on cleansing the apartment. And I don't doubt that she did just that. I only went back in there once, and that was to pick up my things for the move to where I was going to student teach. I hope things went well for my roommates after I left, but I wasn't going to stick around and see. I was more than a little relieved to be out of there after that last night. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Bye! Music by Carl Casey at Whitebat Audio.